Hey everybody! Today we decided to cook a giant Skittle. Let's open the packet and see what it's made of. Inside there are a bunch of small candies. If we crush them, it becomes clear that there is a candy coating around a soft, chewy inside. Now let's buy everything we need to cook a giant Skittles. First up, you'll need a lot of sugar, a box of oil. We go to the produce section, and we take out quite a lot of lemons. We choose the largest and ripest watermelons and put them in the cart. We'll need a total of 7 watermelons. We pull up to the checkout with 2 carts full. We unload them. Our check came out to $162. In addition to this, we bought another 30 kilograms of glucose syrup. To make it easier to work with, we'll pour it into a large saucepan. I ordered something special for this video. These are semicircles made out of acrylic. They will serve as our huge Skittles mold. We fill the mold with oil and smear it around with a brush. Let's unroll the parchment paper. We make pretty deep cuts along the edges and carefully put it inside the mold. Thanks to the oil, the parchment sticks well to the mold. That way we cover up all the inside of the semicircle. Done! It turned out great. Now we put the saucepan on the scales. We put 150 grams of glucose syrup into it. And pour 350 grams of sugar into that. Now we pour in 100 milliliters of water. We put all this on the stove and cook the syrup. Be sure to use a thermometer. We need to wait until the temperature reaches 147 degrees Celsius. Done. Now let's squeeze a little purple food dye into a teaspoon and mix it into our candy coating. The acrylic molds don't really like changes in temperature, so to heat them up, we'll turn on really hot water and fill a bath. We lower the mold into the water, and only now do we pour in the candy coating. Yes, we'll be filling the mold for a long time, so we decided to make a double portion. So we'll be doing 2 equal saucepans at once. Put it on the stove. We cook up the mixture and add in the food coloring. Let's send the second mold into the bath. Pour the coating along the walls. Well, we cooked and molded the coating for 7 hours. At some point, it began to set crookedly. I had to gradually cover everything up. We returned the molds to the studio. We've already made the outer layer for the candy. Now all we need to do is make the insides. There are many different Skittles flavors. We decided to come up with our own, watermelon. To help out with this, we have a hefty mechanical press. We transfer the watermelons to the sink and wash them thoroughly. We put the clean watermelons in a huge bowl. We install a trough under the press and put a metal barrel on top. We take a watermelon, cut off the end, and then do the same to the other side. We prop it up vertically and remove the entirety of the green peel. Now all we have is the pulp. We throw it into the barrel. Cover the top of the metal disc. Take another watermelon and clean it the same way. We send this to the barrel too, and cover it as well. In advance, we substitute a 20-liter empty cylinder at the bottom and put a funnel into it. We begin to turn the screw. We make sure that it enters the groove of the metal disc. The juice is squeezed out very evenly. It goes into the trough and drains down into the container. We twist the press with all our might. 2 watermelons didn't give us enough juice, so we decided to peel 3 watermelons at once and cut each of them into pieces. We load them into the barrel and covering them with metal discs. Squeeze out the juice. We clean another watermelon. Squeeze the juice out of it too. Now we have almost a full container. But I want my Skittles to be sour. Let's squeeze the juice out of the lemons as well. First, we roll them with our hands on the table to loosen up the insides. Then, we cut and squeeze the juice using our hands. All the juice will be sent through a sieve into the container. By the time we get to the studio, the juice has separated, and the red part was at the bottom. We decided to try it, and the taste hasn't really changed at all. I mean, real watermelon juice can be transparent. We shake the container well, and the color comes back. For the inside of the candy, we need 4 pots. We pour 150 milliliters of watermelon juice into each of them. Then 200 grams of glucose syrup, and 300 grams of sugar into each. We put all of this onto the stove. Be sure to put a thermometer in one of the pots. The candy is boiling and you can't touch it at all. Just wait until it reaches 123 degrees. Open the butter. We cut it into small pieces. And one by one, send it into the pots, along with a teaspoon of white dye. Now we mix it up. The candy is ready. Just have to pour it into the molds. Oh, you have no idea how long we've been cooking all this. A day and a half. Finally, the molds are completely filled. Only a day later, the caramel completely cools down and becomes the desired soft consistency. Using a knife, we chip off the uneven edges of the candy. One half is covered with parchment. We put a board on top and turn it over. We remove the mold. Tear off the parchment. And turn over a candy half. The same should be done with the second one. Now, the most dangerous thing is to attach the 2 halves to each other. Then the worst thing imaginable happened. One half slipped and we heard a crunch, which really scared us. We were trying to connect the 2 halves. So we tear off the parchment and see the candy coating has split. We were really upset. Well, what can you do? We tried to at least save the filling. We transfer it into the mold. We'll have to redo the candy coating, but this time we'll do it differently. Again, we cover the mold with parchment. In the middle, we put a ring pasted with parchment. With the help of a hairdryer, we thoroughly warm up the mold. We cook the purple coating again, but something really scary happened here. At some point, the hot candy exploded with such a force that it knocked off the grate, splattered the ceiling, half of the studio, and got on my face. With serious burns and eye injuries, I was taken to the hospital by ambulance. If you want to see how my face looks now, then follow the link in the description to my Instagram. I should say right away, this isn't for the faint of heart. While I'm recovering, my dad will finish the Skittle. He pours the purple candy down the walls of the mold. He files the uneven edges. And turns it over to empty the mold. Then he tears off the parchment and takes out the ring in the middle. The edges of the lower half are now coated with the hot candy mixture. Now we connect the two halves very carefully and gently. Once again, we go around, connecting them at the crease. We take all the filling we managed to save. Using a knife, we cut off pieces from it. We fill our Skittle to the brim. And close it off from above. The joint is filled with the mixture. We just cut off the excess with a knife. Using a burner, we warm up our Skittle from the outside to melt small chips and sugary crumbs. On a piece of parchment, we draw the S logo. Now we melt white chocolate in a steam bath and fill it into a regular syringe. With its help, we first draw the outline of the letter, then fill in the inside. We wait for the chocolate to harden and transfer it to the candy. That's it! Our giant Skittle is finally ready. We spent a lot of money, time, and most of all, health on this experiment. If my dad hadn't helped me, we probably would have never finished this video. Our Skittle weighs in at 78 kilograms. Let's smash it. We'll try both parts at once, the candy coating and the filling. Hey everybody, many of you have visited KFC at least once in your life, and we ordered such a bucket of chicken. Here you have breaded legs, strips, and wings. It's all really tasty. So we decided to cook the same bucket, just not from chicken, but from ostrich. First of all, we ordered a huge bucket that was made special for us. Inside it has a spacer, as straight as the original. First of all, we cover the bucket with a layer of primer. Done. Now we paint white from the inside. And we cover the outside with red paint. Then we gave the bucket to an artist. You'll see the result later. We go to the store for some ostrich meat. We bought 2 huge pieces of ostrich meat. Throw it into the car. They weigh around 43 kilograms. And the check turned out to be for $760. Then we go to the hypermarket. We load 120 liters of sunflower oil directly into the cart with boxes. Now you need olive oil, paprika, ginger, black pepper, basil, oregano, dry garlic, and lots of flour and cornflakes without sugar. The whole full cart cost us $285. We have 2 hefty ostrich legs. They still have the skin on them. It is unrealistically durable, so much so that they make shoes out of it, so it needs to be removed. With one hand we pull off the skin and use a knife to separate it from the meat. There you go. We cut off the unnecessary pieces of fat. Now we've cleaned one leg thoroughly. We repeat the same thing with the second one. When the 2 legs have been perfectly cleaned, you need to separate the shin from the skin. We do everything as carefully as possible so as not to chop the meat. We separate the bone along the joint. And we're left with 2 pieces, bone and flesh. The second one is cut lengthwise into 2 parts. In the future, these will be strips. We divide the second leg exactly the same way. There you go, the cutting's over. We have 2 bones and 4 sirloin pieces. But the fillet doesn't have the same shape we need, so if you like it like that, then it can fall apart. Let's use twine. With its help, we'll tie together a piece of meat. That's how it should turn out. We wrap all 4 pieces like this. And we're done. To make the marinade pass better into the meat, we'll use a thing with spikes. We just use it to punch through the pieces. And then we take a bath like this. Put ground ginger, paprika, oregano and basil into it. Black pepper, dry garlic, lots of salt, mustard, and a liter of olive oil. Now we mix all this up and pour in 20 liters of hot water. The spices will open up better like that. We lower the pieces of ostrich into the marinade. Add more water to cover all the meat. And leave it to marinate overnight. Now it's well softened. We spread some foil onto a table. Parchment on top of that. Now we get out our future strip. Let the excess marinade drain and put it out onto the parchment and wrap it up. We wrap the legs the same way. We do the same thing for every piece. Now take a baking sheet and put sealed pieces of ostrich on it. The first stage of cooking will take place in our huge oven. We put 4 refractory bricks on the cart. We put a baking sheet on top. And put that into the oven. Now we'll leave the meat to cook for 8 hours at a temperature of 180 degrees Celsius. Finally, the time has passed. We'll take it out of the oven. Let's cut the foil and see what's inside. The meat is definitely well cooked. Now we'll open up the rest of the pieces and cut off all the twine. We don't need that anymore. In order to deep fry such huge pieces of meat, you need a large vat and the oil we bought at the store. We open the boxes. We take out the bottles, open them, and pull the oil into the vat. Turns out we pour out about 120 liters. In order to heat this oil, we pour some heated coals into 2 braziers. Now we need to chop some wood. After that, we lay that all out on the grill. Now we just need to keep a good fire going for 2 hours. You'll need a grid like this. On that, we're going to put the meat into the deep fryer. We take 3 plastic basins. In one, we put water. In the second, flour. And in the third, we'll put 3 packs of cornflakes in without sugar. First, we put the ostrich leg into flour and roll it around on all sides. Then we lower it down into the water. And back into the flour. Back to the water. Flour, water, and the last stage is flakes. We're trying to cover the entire meat area with this. The breaded leg is now placed on the grate. According to the same principle, we breaded all the other pieces. The final step is lowering it into the deep fryer. Now we just need to keep the maximum heat so that the oil doesn't cool down. And after about 10 minutes of active boiling, we lift the grate. That's it. The KFC ostrich recipe is ready. By the way, this is how beautiful the bucket turned out after they painted a portrait of Colonel Sanders. We'll fill that with the breaded ostrich. You know, I think it turned out really cool and just like the original. Let's cut off a piece.